Well, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak, Radash, double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone of the wells. I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors. Peace and mercy to the considered brothers and sisters doing this wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. Building off the something I said in the previous lesson I did earlier today, which is knowing that this truth is a blessing, or knowing this truth is a blessing. This is a we really only need the first part of this, but he's going to go into talking about how, like in the late 60s and the early 70s, you know, that even I have some older uncles and older family members that even talked about it. I I got a family full of G's, full of convicts, man. So I've heard the stories. When boys went from fighting, boys went from fighting to shooting, and it was just out the blue. And next thing you know, boom. All right, and that's one of the snares that this devil has laid. And I roughly mentioned a couple of scriptures about, Judah and Ephraim being oppressed together, and I mentioned how, we were scattered and then, rejoined right here in Babylon the Great. So we'll get a couple of those scriptures before I do that. And I also have you can go to these videos on your own, right? I'm not going to play it, especially if it comes from this um, operative, also known as Vlad, talks about how cops were dropping boxes of guns, right? They even have those prosthetic masks where they go and commit these heinous crimes and these shootings, but it's really, Edomites or so-called white men in masks. Um, and I just typed it in Google, and that's what kind of came of it, okay? And I said this, how these are my notes right here, how this knowledge is a blessing. It tells you who you are. It tells you who your enemies are, right? It tells you how to operate around your enemy. So let's get Miss Jeremiah 50 and 33. So let's go to that. And I'm going to make this one relatively quick, if at all possible, because I got somewhere to be in about 15 minutes, but I didn't want to sit on this one too long. I kind of felt the spirit hot, so I'm, when strike when the iron's hot, right? Good grief, I'm going too far. 50 and 33. So I'm gonna just go straight to the point here, right? Maybe let's see. You know what? 31. Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith the Lord power of hosts. For thy day is come, and the time that I will visit thee. And the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. Now here's the point that I want. Thus saith Yahweh power, or Yahweh of hosts. The children of Israel, okay, because you have the northern kingdom, and the children of Judah, you have the southern kingdom. Most of what the New Testament about is the northern kingdom being on the on the eastern side of the world, the other side of the pond. Um, were oppressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast, and they refused to let them go. All right, but here we got their Redeemer is strong. The Lord of hosts is his name, or Yahweh is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, and he may give them rest in their land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon, because that's where we are. And I gave you the scriptures in the previous video, um, linking Esau Edom being the end of the world and Jacob being the beginning of it that followeth, and how Esau Edom will be in ruling this final captivity that is Babylon the Great, where Judah and Edom were oppressed together. I'm sorry, Salakia, slip of the tongue. Where Judah and Ephraim were oppressed together, right here. And we have been together all along. Even as I grew up, I was always it was Judah and Issachar, right? Um, even where I grew up here, especially in Texas. And for a while, it was touch and go, and then you all of a sudden started to see a bond between, what is so-called black and so-called Mexican. Um, but that's something else for another day. Let me see if I can grab a Proverbs 1, and let me read this Proverbs 2 real quick, and then we'll let him play the first part of the video. Okay. We're going to start from the top because there's a couple of things I want to harp on. All right, the proverb of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. All right, and this is the wisest man, right? Solomon. To know wisdom and instruction, and to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man, knowledge and discretion. And that is what everything that this word gives you. That and then some. It teaches you to be a man. It teaches you that you have a responsibility. It teaches you to hold fast. It teaches you to hold fast to an ideology that brings life. All right, not dogma. Okay, that keeps you in a stupor or hold to a culture that is of this world that is detrimental to you. All right, given to you by your enemy. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wisdom. Unto wise counsel. Right. So those that is that remnant that will hear this word, that will hear and will grab that, how wisdom cries out. That whether you heard it from on the street corners or whether you heard it on the internet, you heard it, and that it was a voice that said, "This is the way, walk ye in it," and you had walked there ever since. To understand a proverb and to the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. And that is what is in these scriptures. That is why these Christians, they stumble upon these parables and these dark sayings that are written. Everything that is meant to be literally taken, they say it's a metaphor or a parable. And everything that is a parable, they take as verbatim. Right? And they didn't go into the Greek. They didn't do anything. They didn't go into anything until they seen the men of the great millstone and their and their elders, right, and those that preach a lot like doctrine. None of them ever did any of that. They even changed. I've even seen preaching styles change, okay, because the vibration of the Lord was on those men, and that vibration is going out in the earth, and they think that they can be an imitation, but you don't have the spirit. These born in vain are born for destruction, all right, and with their vain teaching and their false idol pushing, all of that, the time is done. And I'm gonna get to this video eventually. I'm gonna get to that TikTok eventually, but let these scriptures come out. All right, so verse 7, right, and this is what you also learn: a healthy fear of the Lord. You learn His name. You learn to fear Him. You learn to understand that Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai is not a power to be trifled, or they are not powers to be trifled with. When you come into this thing, it is deadly serious. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Let me fast forward to, all right, walking not in the way, all right, of pertaining to specifically this subject, walk not in the way of these Edomites, right, these heathens. Um, let's see. This is what I'm looking for right here, verse 20. And wisdom crieth out, she uttereth her voice in the streets. What? That is by way of what? The prophets, right? The men on the street corner, risking their lives to give you this truth and push this understanding, okay? Push the vibration of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai unto this wicked earth and searching out the remnant, all right? Verse 21, she crieth in the chief places of concourse, in the openings of the gates, in the cities she uttered her words, saying, How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity, and the scorners delight in their scorning? Fools hate knowledge, all right? And fools hate now. How long, all right? How long are you fools going to hate knowledge? But that is, to them 2/3. Unto the remnant who I pray, I am of the number, and those of you who listen, learn, preach, and teach in sincerity and truth. And I pray, I truly do, that we are of that number. I do not want to fall by the hands of these heathen, or be given unto plagues, or be given unto pestilence, or starvation. Oh, goodness gracious. The Lord can bring your worst fear. The Lord is in charge of all and can bring your terrors upon your very head and laugh at your calamity. And that's not something that's taught in Christianity. Okay, now, uh, let me get one more. Okay, let's get Obadiah 1 and 6, because this devil is being found out, right? That's what also comes with having this understanding and this wisdom. I'm going to go straight to the point on the, no, I got to read 3. The pride of thine heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the cleft of the rock. Whose habitation is high, saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence I will bring thee down, saith the Lord. And then I'm going to just skip to 6. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? So these are just one of the few things that we know that this devil has done to us as a nation. And it's going to repeat itself. You see, as you have all these different migrants here from many different nations, probably like Pakistan, Sudan, Serbia, all these other nations, but they hone in on Venice. They hone in on the Northern Kingdom, and they want to turn Jake against each other, like this man is about to explain right here. Well, he's not going to explain blacks versus Mexicans. He's just going to explain how we went from thugging it out, throwing, what I'm saying, banging it out with the fist. You fight it out, and all of a sudden, you got the guns and the guns in the neighborhood. Now, the us of the nation are at each other's throats. All right, divide and conquer.
But it was really
Slucky. Let me turn the. There we go.
69. The police killed with a gun my homie. Then Maria came and shot one of my homies with a gun. After that, nobody was fighting no more. All of a sudden, our guns were everywhere, and I think police had a lot to do with it. All of a sudden, there was guns everywhere.
Where did they get those guns from?
I know. The cops made sure that we had guns, because it was pleitos, it was, broncas, whatever you want to call them, it wasn't really, knives and stuff, but mostly...
What did they call them? Bumper jacks.
Bumper jacks, and right, even bouts, and even, kinds of things. Chains. It was just pleitos, but then the guns started popping out, and pretty soon, by 1970, I would have to say, drive-bys was the only way anybody was doing it. And I really regretted that. I'd like me to get a little scrap, get some guantes in.
Yeah.
But everybody was shooting though. Now, what's the difference between...
Right. So you see, that's what he said. And you can hear the same story in the so-called black community. The guns and then the drugs. And now they don't even need the drugs. You got the internet to push audio dope. This so-called music and this so-called influencer culture, they just push a way of life that is detrimental, and people follow suit. They uplift the worst of us, and folks are following suit. All right. So let me get Isaiah 11 and 13. We can end it actually on a positive, because this is what we got coming, right? This is what we got coming once Yahweh Shai returns and sets everything in order, and we will be back in our land. I believe I did 11 and 13. Okay. I am going to read from 11. So Isaiah 11 and 11, but the point is in 13. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand against the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt, right? That's that northern and southern captivity. Because we were scattered mainly through the four corners of the earth. But I like how it kind of, started with Assyria and Egypt, because that's their representation of, their captivity. From Pathros, from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall be assembled the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, Judah shall not vex Ephraim. All right. Closing up the breaches thereof. That's what actually I got to end it, because I did have one other scripture, but I forgot how I wanted to tie it in. As you can see in the notes, I was talking about Psalms 119 and 110, how the wicked lay a snare. But, you know what? No, I remember. Call hello, Yahweh Bashim outside. That's what I wanted to tie it together, actually. Too far. Psalms 119 and straight to the point. And 110, fuck it. Not 10, 110. Okay. The wicked have laid a snare for me, yet I erred not from thy precepts. And learning these precepts, you can avoid the snare of the wicked, right? So the knowledge and the understanding of these scriptures, right, That's how I wanted to tie it in. Call Halal Yahweh Bashumi outside. So the snare that these devils lay, you can avoid it, especially now that knowledge has gone out, and it will end in Amos 9, closing up the breaches. Amos. I believe that's it. That's where we name Amos 9 and 11. In that day I will raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen. That was the last time we were joined as a nation, right? All 12 tribes. And close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. And you can read through Chronicles and Kings and Samuel how David had his foot on the neck of these heathen. And that is how it will return. Order will be restored in the earth. And order was slack. I was looking off, something didn't look right. Our order will be restored in the earth, and we just need to pray that the Lord remembers mercy in his wrath, because before all of that happens, great turmoil and many dark things are going to befall this earth. So with that being said,